Welcome one and all to the Canadian Immigrant web conference series in partnership with ACCESS Employment. This industry-specific web conference for internationally educated accounting and finance professionals has been brought to you by two of our sponsors, Western Union and BMO. Please note that this will be recorded and posted on our website to watch for those who cannot attend in person. My name is Baisakhi Roy, and I am a contributing writer for Canadian Immigrant, and I'm so excited to be with both our speakers today. But before we get started, let's have a short video from our sponsors, Western Union and BMO. My colleague, Laura Jackman, will put on those videos right about now. Go ahead, Laura.
To grow, and new faces that feel familiar. RBC Advisors can provide the advice, support, and community connections you need, because many were once newcomers too.
Thanks so much, Laura, for that. Now, I would like to kick off this session by introducing to the first speakers from ACCESS Employment. We have Quoc Phan, welcome, and Saul Cano. Quoc is the Project Manager, Financial Services and Leadership Connection, and Saul is the Project Manager of Francais Programs at ACCESS Employment. If you have questions for either Quoc or Saul, please feel free to type them in the chat by clicking the chat or the Q&A buttons and typing them on the right-hand side, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. And you can also email us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Quoc and Saul. The floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you to Canadian Immigrant, and welcome everybody to be joining us today. Let me just pull up our presentation and we'll go through. We're going to have lots of time for you to ask questions, so please start thinking of your questions as we go. So let me just pull up the slide here. Perfect. Okay, so welcome. So again, my name is Quoc Phan. I am the project manager of the Financial Service and Leadership Connections program. I will be going through a little bit about ACCESS, and then I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Saul, who will be giving some tips and suggestions on helping you find employment in the Canadian environment. So welcome. So a little bit about ACCESS and an organization that both Saul and I work in. So ACCESS is our vision. So it is a fully inclusive labor force that reflects the diversity, skills, and experience of the Canadian population. I think that's one of the reasons why you are here in Canada or coming to Canada. Our mission statement, we assist job seekers from diverse backgrounds who are facing barriers to employment to integrate into the Canadian job market. We achieve this by providing employment services, linking employers to skilled people, and build strong network and collaboration with our community partners. So here's kind of a quick rundown of the presentation about ACCESS, some soft skills to succeed. So we're going to be talking about communication skills, future skills, networking, advice, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the bridging programs we have, especially to help those that are internationally trained accountants to find work here in Canada. So we'll be talking a little bit about the financial service connections en français, and I'll be going over the financial service connections and leadership connections program, and then we will take your question and answer. So ACCESS is a very large organization, and we have a lot of programs to help a lot of people in terms of finding employment and getting the right step in the Canadian market. So what are some of the programs and services? So we do have here where we start with you, starting with your job search. So we do have employment counseling one-on-one, helping you with job placements, provide you with some job fairs of potential employers, as well as job search workshops to kind of give you kind of basic tools on how to go and conduct your job search here in the Canadian market. Of course, we have resource and information to get you started here in Canada. We also have some programs regarding retraining through our second career and Canada Ontario Job Grant. One of the things that ACCESS is known for is the mentoring support, and we do that through several ways. So the first one is what we call Speed Mentoring Program. Basically what that program is help connect you with employers, put you in front of employers to be able to ask any questions that you may have, get a better understanding of the field and industry. So it's a great opportunity to be able to meet professionals in your field. We also run this through the Speed Mentoring en Français, where you will also be able to speak with French mentors or bilingual mentors. We also have partnered with the TRIAC Mentoring Partnership Program. And again, this is a 3-month program where you are connected with an employer in your field and kind of meet on a weekly basis to be able to kind of provide you with some support, some guidance, and leverage the connections that the mentor may have to support you in your job search. And then we also have our in-home mentoring program called the Connector Program. Again, similar to the TRIAC mentoring, where we connect you with an employer who is working in your industry and start building those connections. Some other programs that we may have here is starting your own business. So if you might be looking at creating and starting a business, we do have the entrepreneurship connections as well as the entrepreneur connections in Arabic. In terms of programs for women, we do have several programs here. We have the Start Customer Care Program, the Empowering Women Program, sponsored by TD, Women in Technology Program, again, sponsored by TD, and the Career Pathways for Women. And these are job search programs that kind of assist you in those particular areas. We also have some language programs to kind of help you, language for workplace communication, as well as the Talk English Cafe. For those that are considered youth or may know of youth, we do have some programs to kind of help them gain employment here in Canada. So some of the youth programs we have are the Youth Job Connections Program, the Employment Connections for Newcomer Youth, and we used to have the Barista Training Program for Newcomer Youth with Starbucks, so we're in collaboration. Of course, we do have lots of online pre-arrival information as well. So on our website, you'll have access to all the different webinars and job search material to get you started. For those that are preparing to come here to Canada, we do have a program called Canadian Employer Connections. Again, that's a way to jumpstart your research and understanding of the Canadian labor market before you land here in Canada, as well as looking at starting your own business as well. So we have the Entrepreneurship Connections program there. One of the things that ACCESS is really known for is our sector-specific programs. So as you can see, we do have multiple different programs that might be able to assist you in your job search. So we have construction trade program, cyber security connections, destination employment, so hospitality, engineering connections, electrical engineering connections, financial services, healthcare connections, human resources connections, information technology connections, leadership connections, sales marketing, and supply chain. And then we also run some of these programs in French as well. It is the en Français financial service en Français, speed mentoring en Français, and the business connections en Français. So the things that we want to highlight today is the financial services en Français, financial service connections, and the leadership connections program. I'll pass it over to you, Sol, and
thank you, Quoc. If you don't mind being my slide assistant, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, and thank you to the Canadian Immigrant Network for the invite. It is always a pleasure to be part of your program and support your cause. As Quoc was mentioning, I'll be giving you a few tips, and it is also
a sample of what all those 12 and 14 programs that Quoc was referring to within ACCES try to cover. So the transferable skills are the skills that you are already bringing with you from your previous job experience, from your background, from the country you immigrated from, etc. And they are your communication skills, the way we communicate with each other at a workplace, how that may be different from the way we communicate here in Canada at a workplace. Since in our countries of origin, we don't really we're not really conscious of that way of communicating, because everybody communicates in the same way. So we often overlook how we communicate within the job market or in the workplace. And we help our participants know how the Canadian workplace functions, what are the different nuances on communication and interpersonal skills, the vocabulary, the terminology that may be specific to all those sectors that Quoc was referring to. And also how we help our clients to think about the target audience for each message and how we convey those messages or verbally, on email, on messages through the internal like MS Teams, etc., etc. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we also help our participants to strengthen their future skills, the skills that would help them not only secure a job, but also advance in any position that they may be able to secure. So creative interpretation, emotional intelligence, that is a very big one in Canada. Active learning and active listening, decision making if you will be on a managerial or leadership position, the awareness that Canada prides on diversity and inclusion and culture within the workplace, and the critical thinking and the change management, that it is also very trendy right now within most of the economic sectors. Next, please. Next. Thank you. So the networking advice that I would like to share today is first, even or to convey the idea that even if you are a newcomer, you can start making or building a strong, relevant professional network. So the very first step or the very first stage of networking would be research. Research the companies, research the people that you would like to connect with. LinkedIn here, for instance, is a huge tool that is used by employers and by potential employees for everything. I have secured jobs through LinkedIn myself. So that is the very first recommendation. Do your research, do your homework. When you are ready to approach people, to reach out to them, make sure that the connection you are requested is meaningful. Make sure that whenever you reach out to these people, your demeanor is polite, never pushy. You will be able to eventually have a mutual exchange of either information or resources, etc. And the third advice on networking is make sure that the connections you make are relevant. So I was once told that once you already have the companies that you would like to work for, within those companies, make sure that you search the titles and connect with the people whose title would be either relevant or related to the ones you like, the ones you'd be able to have exchange of information, or they would be you would be able to share some kind of mutual knowledge, etc. So the 3 stages again: do your homework, do a lot of research, make sure that when you reach out to these people, they are connections that will be mm, pushing you to the next step, or connecting you then again to the right people. Next, please. So I talked to you about LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a huge networking platform here. It is probably one of the most common, but there are so many other ways to create your professional network. And when you are a newcomer, everything or every activity that you get involved in will help you strengthen that network. So volunteering is a huge portion of it. Volunteer in your sector, or volunteer in community association. I take care of the en français, of the French programming within ACCES, and slowly I have discovered so many small associations that are community service providers. So I tell my participants, reach out to them, tell them, okay, I can volunteer a couple of hours a week, I can volunteer an hour a day, etc., etc. There is always an opportunity to volunteer within your community. Social media is a huge one. LinkedIn might be the biggest one. Meetup, there are a lot of opportunities in professional environments to attend to meetups. Research all the online networking events that are available within your sector, and maybe on different sectors that may be related to what you're looking for as a job. Word of mouth. Tell your neighbor. Tell the people you interact with. This is my background. I am looking for a job. If you know of anything, friends, family, colleagues. Research your industry events, attend job fairs. It's very important to, and now that, we're post-pandemic and semi back to normal, make sure that you make a point of attending in-person events. Employment services such as the Canadian Immigrant Network, such as ACCES Employment. The resources are quite robust in Canada. Take advantage of those. They are there for you. And reference. Here we say it's not who you know, but who knows that you know things. So make sure that whenever you convey your value, it is clear, and it can be shared as well. Next, I think that would be the last piece of advice. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the program, the bridging program that I oversee at ACCES Employment. It's called Financial Services Connection en français. And it is a 5-week bridging program, full-time, Monday through Friday, and it is delivered virtually 100%. We are in partnership with College Boreal, and they take care of the workplace culture and communication part of it. So 2.5 weeks of those 5 weeks are delivered by College Boreal, and they do issue a certificate from that institution. And we also have different partners that will take care of the financial portion. So there is a platform that will help our participants get a lot of information on certifications, on courses, on different paths to secure the job in the financial industry, as they are they have a financial background. We have many different elements within the cohort. We have a speed mentoring with RBC. We have at least one job fair. If they are located in the GTA, we connect them with a TRIAC mentoring program that Quoc was referring to. It is an organization-wide target that we have to connect professionals that are already settled and gaining more Canadian experience to newcomers within the same sector to catapult them and help them secure a job and provide them with more specific and personalized advice. So we go as ACCESS Employment and my team, we go through all the elements to support our participants to secure a job, their job search strategies, the drafting of a compelling resume and cover letter, interview preparation, Spark Hire applications, their LinkedIn, we depurate their LinkedIn profile. We help them grow their network through different speed mentoring sessions and practice sessions as well. So the program has a fee of $500 plus taxes, but 90% of the participants are eligible for full reimbursement through the Ontario Bridging program, and it's like I said, my specific program is focused or aims to help Francophone internationally trained professionals. And I think that is my last slide. Thank you so much, Quoc.
Thank you, Sol. So the next slide that we have here is the financial service connection. So it's very similar to the program that Sol was mentioning. It is for internationally trained professionals looking for working kind of in the banking, financial services, accounting industry. Again, it is a 6-week program. It is full-time, but we're starting to have in-person graduation. So that's why you see the different locations that are there. We partner with Ryerson University, that is now called the Toronto Metropolitan University. And they kind of work with the workplace culture and communication to kind of give you that foundation to make sure that you're on the right track when it comes to communicating with your boss, communicating with your colleagues, and making sure that you're there to maintain and utilize the skills and experience that you have to the Canadian market. We provide some information on the Canadian economy, provide you with resources and information on what you need to know and where you want to see yourself. We provide the critical thinking and creative problem solving. This is a really good future set. We're just talking to an employer the other day, and they were talking about how they just don't want people to just come in and do the work. Of course, that's exactly what they're looking for, but what they're also looking for is for people to kind of think of creatively, understanding why things work, can things be improved, and come up with solutions, I think is really key. So we have that component to kind of help you there. Of course, we have the job search support, so help you with your resume, interviews, cover letters, help you with your networking, learning how to go about networking. And we definitely do have our employer connections, whether it's guest speakers coming in, our vast alumni that we have, to having pitch panel where you're there to kind of get feedback on your elevator pitch. Of course, speed mentoring events, connections to the TRIAC mentoring partnership program that I mentioned to you earlier, and job fairs and recruitment events. Of course, we also have pre and post hire support. Again, for those that are seeking employment and have got hired and you're having some challenges navigating the workplace environment, we do have some support there as well for you to make sure that you're on the right track and maintain that position. This program is there is a fee. The fee of this program is $500, and there is the Ontario Bridging Participant Assistance Program where you can apply and get a bursary. To the next program is very similar, is the Leadership Connections program, again, based on financial and IT support. This program differs a little bit to the Financial Service Connections program, is that it is more towards senior level experience or senior managers and above. We partner here with Humber College that provides leadership training, so critical aspects of leading and managing in a Canadian digital context and talent. But as for the rest, everything is very similar as well. So the only difference here is, again, for senior management, VP, CFO above, this program might be for you. And again, this program does have a fee of $500, and you can apply for the Ontario Bridging Participant Assistance Program. So some of the eligibility. So here you can see the financial services. Again, the only difference really is the, so what are the eligibilities? So the eligibility is be international trained professional, have a business degree or degree that's recognized here in Canada. So having your WES evaluation or any of the credential evaluation of your degree. Not yet worked in Canada in the industry, a Canadian language level, benchmark level, about 7 and 8, which is equivalent to an IELTS level 7 or 6.5. It is open to Canadian citizens, convention refugees, permanent residents, and refugee claimant, and a work permit only if you have a letter stating that you will be able to apply to become a permanent resident here in Canada. So again, it focuses on financial professionals. For the financial services, we're looking at 1 year experience outside. Leadership, of course, we're looking at 2+ years experience within kind of senior management roles, and then MBA or master's preferred. Here are our upcoming cohorts. So the Financial Service Connections program en français is from September 9th to October 6th, and November 6th to December 6th. The Financial Service Connections program, we have 4 cohorts coming up, October 30th to December 8th, November 6th to December 15th, January 29th to March 8th, 2024, February 5th to March 15th, 2024, and then our Leadership Connections program, October 30th to December 8th, and February 12th to March 22nd, 2024. All this information is on our website at accessemployment.ca. And then these are some specific links to the bridging programs that I am referring to. Okay, I don't know if we have some question and answer, but maybe we can take a couple of questions.
Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you, Quoc and Sol. That was very informative. And thank you for being so candid with your advice, your observations, and, sort of exhorting our newcomers to and motivating them to do well in a country that is so new to them. Convey your value clearly is what that kind of resonated with me, that advice. So thank you for all those, gems that you both offered in this presentation. We'll dive right onto the Q&A session. We've got quite a few questions. The first question that's come up is, could you give us a brief overview of the difference between a CFA and a CPA designation?
Yeah, so there's a lot of intertwining areas. It does depend on your job goal. Of course, CPA is a Chartered Professional of Accountant, Canadian Chartered Professionals of Accountants. So again, it's more of accounting designation as well, whereas the CFA is the Chartered Financial, I believe, analysis. So if you're doing more of investment banking line of work, then maybe the CFA will be geared towards what you're looking for. But if you're in kind of audit and accounting, the CPA may be the best route. Of course, go to those information sessions of each of those programs and find out more. Do your research and see if whatever course. There is a lot of overlap as well. So again, it comes back to what is your job goal and where do you want to be?
Absolutely. Job-specific research. So question 2, the second question that's come up is, are the grants you offer only for PRs, or is it also available for open work permit holders looking for jobs?
So our programs that we have here are available to permanent resident holders, so those that have a work permit, you do have access to our workshops that we have at each site or online. I think we're doing them online now, as well as our online resources as well. The Ontario Job Grant, it's not really a grant, it's just the name of the program itself that supports individuals seeking to find employment. But of course, those that do have a work permit, feel free to come in. You can get that support on the counselor at the resource center level. We do have workshops that I mentioned that you can participate in. And of course, we have tons of articles and past webinars on our website through the e-access page, linked through the ACCESS employment website that you can browse and go through.
Thanks, Quoc, for that. So the next question is from someone who's being really resourceful. They haven't landed in Canada yet, but they want to get a head start before they come over. So what they're asking is, do you offer any pre-landing courses to get started?
Yeah, we actually do have a program here at ACCESS called the Canadian Employment Connections Program. It is our pre-arrival program. So if you've already been accepted to arrive to Canada in your travels within the next 3 to 6 months, I highly recommend joining that program. Not only will you have access to material online to get you started, but connect you with one of our employment consultants that will help you overseas. So we have our employment working at different hours to kind of help individuals, of course, around the world, and that can help you integrate into the Canadian market. So maybe you can add a little more.
Yeah, I am just adding all that information on the group chat, so everybody will have it from our website, okay?
That's great. Thank you so much, Sol. Thank you. We have another question. It says, I have enrolled in the CPA course and I have received the regular materials from them, but they're asking if there's any additional material or support from ACCESS that can help international accountants with the CPA pathway in Canada.
Sorry, can you ask that question again about the...
Sure. So it says the person says that they've enrolled into the CPA course and they've received the regular materials from them. But is there any additional material or support from ACCESS that can help with the international accounts CPA pathway in Canada?
Yeah, thanks. Unfortunately, we don't have any further information in terms of, because we're not a college program, we're more focusing on your employment. So what I would recommend is going back to the CPA, see what other resources, or there are maybe some schools and universities of courses that you may take to kind of help you be in line. But I think CPA does provide a lot of great options, whether you're just getting into and want to become an accountant here in Canada, where you haven't maybe taken accounting courses, so they can help you bridge that gap as long as you do have a bachelor degree. Or if you want to focus into certain areas of specialization within accounting, they will have some materials through their courses to be able to support you. And you can look at some of the college programs that are out there, or maybe short university courses that might be able to give you more on that topic. But unfortunately, ACCESS, we are focused more on your employment side of things.
Thank you so much again, Quoc and Sol. I think that's all the time we have with ACCESS, but please feel free to go through the chat. Sol and Quoc both have put in some links that will be helpful and will answer some of your questions. Of course, you have any additional questions, email us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. And with this, I'd like to thank our sponsors again, RBC and Western Union. Thank you again to Quoc, Phan, and Sol Cano. And thank you for taking the time to do this session with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sol. Well, moving on, we have our next speaker. Please welcome me in joining Dotun. Sorry, one sec. Please welcome me in joining Dotun Ayodele-Bamisaiye. I hope I got your name correct, Dotun.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. For all those who've joined us, this is the Canadian Immigrant web conference series for internationally trained accountants. and finance professionals in partnership with ACCESS Employment. A bit about our next speaker. Dotun is a chartered professional accountant at principal at Dexteritas Professional Corporation. And if you have any questions for Dotun, please feel free to type them in the chat by clicking the chat button or the Q&A buttons and typing them on the right-hand side, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. You can also email us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. Dotun's going to speak on a very important topic. He is, I think, going to be telling us how to save us some money, which is good information for all of us to know. Dotun, it's all yours. Take it away. You're muted.
Can you hear me now? Thank you very much for having me. Bisaki, did I say that right? Fantastic. Bisaki, thank you for having me. Before I go into my presentation, I'm talking about launching a career in finance and accounting, but I want to answer that last question as an accountant myself, who has an immigrant accountant who had an established career before I moved to Canada. And the reason I'm doing that is if you don't know where to look, you really don't find it. And sometimes you have to dig a bit deeper than just the surface. So to the person who has received their material from the CPA and they want to start studying, I want to say to you, great to have the self-learning material, but if you have, there are very few exams like the CPA exams. I designated for the first time in Nigeria, and I did the Nigerian accounting exams. I had a bunch of friends who took the UK ACCES exams, which are very common, widespread. I have friends from Asia and Southeast Asia and Australia who started their careers on those same exams. And when I compare those two, as well as the American CPA exams with the Canadian CPA exams, they are very different. Canada is huge on case writing. You start case writing from the very beginning of the CPA process, and it's a skill that you build over the 4-year period if you go through the prep, and 2.5-year period if you go through the professional stage. But you would have had years of preparation before you get to the final exam. So if you find yourself in the unfortunate situation like I did, where you get a whole bunch of exemptions, and you are allowed to go and take the final exam, you are grossly unprepared for case writing. The CPA exam is one where you are given a scenario and you are required to, within a 60 minute to 4-hour time frame, to find the questions and answer them. So if you don't find the questions, then you can't pass the exam. So the first thing you need to do, if that's what you're going through, is look for tuition providers that can support you, people who have walked the route, who have guided other people to get the results that you want, right? And let them handhold you. Don't try to do it alone. The first time I tried, I picked up the study guides 8 weeks to the exams, and you can imagine what my results were like. So it doesn't work that way. Case writing is not a knowledge dump, it's a skill. And the only way you acquire case writing skill is by writing cases over and over again and getting somebody who knows to tell you what you are missing out. However frequently you write the cases, if you don't have somebody that knows guiding you, you are going to miss it. I guarantee you that, because it's not a natural way of thinking. It's a trained way of thinking. So find somebody who can guide you, and then find a group of people who are actually writing the exams when you're writing them, so that you can share knowledge and experiences and you can immerse yourself in the process. If you don't do that, it will be hard to pass. Spoken from somebody who has been through the experience more than once. So I will stop there. and then go to my presentation. So, launching a career in accounting and finance in Canada. My name is Dotun Ayodele-Bamisaiye. I started my career in PricewaterhouseCoopers in Nigeria. I hope you can see my screen. That was back in 2005. And between 2005 and 2012, I worked as an auditor in PwC primarily, did all sorts of engagements, due diligence engagements, reviews and such. So I grounded myself in that assurance space and I enjoyed doing it thoroughly. Somewhere around 2010, I started to consider the possibility of leaving Nigeria and moving to Canada. I had tried going to the UK earlier, which didn't work out. And then I got my PR and moved here. Now, between 2013 and 2016, I worked for a junior oil and gas company here in Calgary, doing financial statements and MD&A. And so it was pure corporate accounting. I was on the other side of the audit. And then subsequent to that, so that was my first 3.5 years in Canada. And then that company shut down its doors and I started to contract. And I contracted for about 1.5 years, after which I joined Ernst & Young. So I was back in the audit game as an audit manager for the next 2 years. And somewhere in that time frame, I decided I wanted to run my own firm. So from 2019, actually 2020 till date, I have been running Dexteritas Professional Corporation in one form, shade, fashion, or the other. And the work I do covers both sides of the divide. I do the audit, I support the audit for larger corporations, prepare personal taxes, corporate taxes, and we do accounting for small and mid-sized businesses. So we're a full service accounting firm operating out of Calgary, serving clients from coast to coast to coast, as well as a few international clients. It's been a learning experience for me. So what do I have to say about starting an accounting career, a career in accounting and finance in Canada? I don't know if anybody can respond, but I guess this is a webinar, so I'm not going to get any responses. But the image that you are looking at, if you can type it, what do you see on the screen? If you can type what you're seeing on the screen in the chat, I'll really appreciate that. But these things you are seeing are an important component of the human body. Without them, we can't do anything. If you take this out of every human being, they're done, dead, dodo. They cannot function, right? So if you want to help facilitate this session, just type what you think these things are called into the chat box quickly. Can I have one person, 2 people? What can you see there? Tell me. Experiences. Well, experiences are recorded in them. What else? Networking. Okay, that's part of what they do. Yes, but what are they? Can somebody tell me? Neurons. Fantastic. Olena, Tina, thank you for telling us what they are. Exactly. These are neurons, and at the center of the neurons, those balls you see there are ganglions. Ganglia with connections. Now, what we know about neurons is that when they are connected, they help us to function. However, when they are not connected, everything freezes, everything dies out, right? The law of use and disuse starts at the level of the neurons. And I will tell you that your career in Canada will only go as far as the network that you build. So, coming into Canada, you're coming with your wealth of experience, whether you've worked for just 1 year or 2 years or 10 years or 15 years in banking, in accounting, corporates, as an auditor, as a tax consultant, it really doesn't matter. The fact is, if you are going to give your career 2 legs to stand on, you are going to begin to actively work on building your network. You are going to put the effort that is required. You're going to make the effort required to begin to connect with people who are in places where you want to be. So, how are you going to do this? Whether online or in person, the cup of coffee is one of the most powerful unifying factors in Canada. Just ask to meet over coffee, whether in person or virtually. I know you've heard this over and over again, but I'm here as an immigrant telling you this is how it works. There's no point trying to say, hey, but that's not how we did it where I come from. Guess what? This is Canada. So how do you meet people here? Ask for a coffee. Ask to have a coffee, whether it's in person or virtually. And that gives you the opportunity to have the audience of the person that you are speaking with. Now, where do you find these people? There are people that look like what you want to look like. When you look at their profiles on LinkedIn, their profiles say they're either CPAs or CFAs, working in corporate, working in banking, working in accounting firms, working in tax firms, working in law firms as tax specialists or accounting specialists or US tax consultants, as the case may be. But you are looking for people who already look like what you want to look like, right? And that makes a difference, because suddenly that means you have the clarity of mind to know where you want to go to, and you have a clear picture of what you want to look like. Now, when you find, where can you find these people? Like, let's see, that was Tina. No, Indra Neal said on LinkedIn, definitely on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the #1 place that you are looking for these people. And you are carefully curating the profiles that you are looking at. So if you are coming to Canada, you are not looking at profiles of people who work in Moscow. If you are coming to Toronto, if you are planning to land in Toronto, you are not looking at profiles of people who live in British Columbia. Look for profiles of people who live and work, or at least work in the city that you are looking to be in, and work in the field that you are looking to operate in, right? Now, that's one thing. If you are in country already, you are looking for in-person events, where should you be looking? You are looking at immigrant serving of organizations like ACCESS Employment. You are looking at the chambers of commerce, for whether if you're in Ontario, if you're in Toronto, you're looking at the GTA, a GTA Chamber of Commerce. You're looking at a community organization. You're looking at a professional association. So, for example, if you're an accountant, a foreign trained accountant, look at the CPA events, whether they're in person or online, free or paid. There are free events happening at least twice a month. Look for those events and go there and find people and meet them. The point is, Nike, just do it. Don't postpone it. Don't second guess it. Don't overplan it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Because the only way you will get results, the only way you will meet people is by going out there and putting yourself out there, whether physically or virtually. Why? Why am I asking you to do this? Because at the end of the day, what you're looking to is you're looking for an opportunity, whether an opportunity to work in employment at a job that somebody will give you, or you are looking for a connection that allows you to start something where you will sell to other people. The point I'm making is this: whatever you want in Canada is currently in somebody's hands. And the only way you will find them is if you go out there and go make that connection. So everything rises and falls on your network here in Canada. That's the fact. Everything, whether it's a job, a sale, a project, an idea that you have, an enterprise you want to start, everything rises and falls on your network. So the first thing to do, like I've said before, is go out there and find the people that potentially look like what you want to look like and connect with them and ask them questions. Now, what will these meetings look like? These meetings are very simple. They will start with an introduction. Hi, my name is Dotun. I'm a foreign trained accountant, and I'm looking to connect with people who work in accounting and finance because I want to hear what it's like to work in accounting and finance in Canada. Guess what that tells me if you reached out to me? I would say, oh, okay, you want me to come and talk about myself? I'll take that any day. Why? Because human beings like to talk about themselves. So in that conversation, you will ask an opening question and you will continue to ask open-ended questions that allow the person that you are speaking to do the talking. Hello? The person you are speaking to has to be doing the talking. So in a 1 hour or 30-minute coffee period, you should not be talking for more than 5 minutes. Ask a question, get some answers. Ask a question, get some answers. You are not saying, hey, I need a job desperately because I've been in the country for 6 months and I don't know where the next meal is coming from. That creates pressure. Canadians do not like pressure. So the focus is simple. What was your experience and how did you get to where you are now? And then the person will talk about themselves. And from that conversation, you will pick up 1 or 2 things that you can use for yourself. In addition to that, you suddenly have a promoter. Somebody who, if their name, your name, happens to come across their desk for recruitment, if they had a good experience with you, they'll be able to say, oh, I know in Dranil, we had coffee. It was a good conversation. I left feeling good about it. We should consider hiring them. That is how it works. So if you sit at home and send out resumes and hope somebody will call you, even if you get that call, you miss out on the opportunity to create a promoter, somebody who's there and can speak for you when you are not present. And that is the backbone of your career in Canada. Going forward, first things first, you want to position your career in Canada. Make up your mind, whether it's financial analysis or banking or corporate accounting or tax and tax advisory, compliance and planning, or auditing, as the case may be. And then begin to look for people in that space who are already working in that space in Canada and reach out to them for coffees. Remember, you are not asking for a job. You're asking to understand their journey. When you find these people and you have the conversations, you are doing 2 things. Number 1, you are learning the things that they did to get them to where they are. Number 2, you are creating for yourself a potential manager, a potential employer, a promoter, somebody who's going to speak for you when you are not there, whether it's within their organization or to somebody within their network who is considering hiring you. Now, what's the most important part of all this? It's not in the conversation. It's in making sure that you have the conversation. Like I said before, sitting at home and watching videos and sending out applications will not necessarily cut it. You will learn some things, definitely. But there's nothing like making that person-to-person connection, whether it's in person or virtually, over tools like this. So look, listen, learn, but most importantly, do. Because guess what? Success is reserved for the doers. So without taking any more of your time, that is my experience as an immigrant. And that's what I have learned that I choose to share whenever I meet with new immigrants. I'm open to take your questions from now, if you have any.
Thank you so much, Dotun. That was quite a presentation. And I think I speak for everyone attending today when I say that I'm all fired up and I feel inspired. And I am 100% sure that, all those people attending today have taken away some nuggets of very useful information from your presentation. Not only on, I think it's a lot about the attitude with which we approach a job hunt 100%. In Canada. Yeah, and you underline that, and I so appreciate you for putting that up front. We are open to questions, so I'm just looking through yes. So there's a question come in, Dotun. Are there any CPA networking groups that you recommend?
Networking groups. So honestly, I don't know any networking groups, but I know that there are a few places that you can look, right? I know that all the accounting firms are always have students in the process. So if you know somebody who works in an accounting firm, whether it's a Big Four firm or not, Grant Thornton, Deloitte, KPMG, RSM, any of the firms, they will be able to connect you with people who are currently in the process, right? I know a tuition provider who helped me back in the day when I was writing my exams. The name of the organization at the time, I think, was called Prep Formula. I think they've since become CPD Formula or something like that. And what they can do for you is they can, you will pay for the services though, but they can provide you the services of a coach who will support you through, and they can also connect you with other people who are in the process writing, so that you can build a small cohort of 3-4 writers who work together, study together, share ideas together, as well as a coach who's been through the process that's going to handhold you and walk you through. I have to be honest, the CPA exam is challenging. It's just what it is, right? It's not about what you know. I know people who are skilled, who understand GAAP and gas and tax, but because they do not have the case writing skill and understand how to present the matter in a CPA environment as expected by the association, they do not succeed.
Are there any top tips to crack the CPA exam that you're saying is so challenging? What
meet people. That's my top tip. My top tip is, if you're writing the same CPA exams, find people writing the exams and hang out with them. Don't try to, this is not one of those exams that you sit in your house with a pile of books and you pass. This is not one of them. Sorry, wrong address. Try any other exam, not this one.
Right.
I don't think I know anyone who succeeded beating this one by themselves. You need to be in a group. You need to be in a cohort. That's my experience.
Right. Well, we have another question about LinkedIn. It says that a person is asking, what if you've not built your CV on LinkedIn? What are your chances to be seen?
Go and do it. Don't waste it. Waste no more time. Waste no more time. Go and do it. Just do it. Just do it. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, or your LinkedIn profile is one of those ones where there's no picture, there's no way I can tell your character, I won't connect with you. That's the truth. I won't, because I'm like, there's nothing to go on here. I don't see the value in connecting with you. But if you have a picture and you show me your last 2, 3 jobs, if you've had that many, and some education, I can say, okay, this person is a foreign trained accountant. I'm a Canadian CPA. Most likely they're on their way here. Okay, let's connect and then have a conversation, right? That's typically how I do it. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please just go do it. Just do it. No point.
Right.
Stop arguing, stop thinking, stop trying. Just do it before nightfall today, before midnight today. Get it done. Yeah.
Right. Another person in the chat says that they finished their accounting degree in 1988. Do they need to take up a diploma program, or do they have to do CPA to access their credentials?
You finished your accounting degree in 1988. If you do not have a professional designation from anywhere that is current or that is still recent, and you have not worked in corporate accounting for a while, that becomes challenging. So if you've been in management, in management and you've had some kind of finance role, whether it's in reporting or treasury or audit support or compliance or internal audit, then your experience will definitely stand you in good stead. When I took my exams, when I was trying to get into the CPA program, I had my designation and I had been working for 8 years in audit in a Big 4 firm. And because of that, I got loads of exemptions. So all I had to do was write the final exams, which was very unfortunate because I was like the lamb walking into the lion's cage. I had no idea what I was doing and I paid the price. But if you have experience, lots of good experience that's current because you've been working in internal audit, or you've been working in audit or financial reporting or treasury or even procurement, right? It's easy to show that there's experience that's related to accounting. But if you've been, maybe even marketing will be hard to sell. But if you've been in general management or something related to accounting and financial reporting, and you have accounting education, you may still be able to get in the program. And most likely they will say, hey, go back and do some of the Western School of the CPA School of Business courses just to bring yourself up to date for the world of accounting. But if you've been out of accounting because you took a job with, let's see, you took a job with a major organization and you've been in administration, probably the HR side of things, general management and HR, then it's like, okay, bro, you've been out of accounting for a minute. You may have to redo some of those courses. So it's something to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Another question, Dotun, is any suggestion deciding what accounting area to work in Canada? All of them are very different than our countries. The CPA, and is the CPA in the USA a better option than in Canada?
If you are planning to live and work in Canada, just get the Canadian CPA.
Right. What accounting area would you recommend? Any suggestion deciding that?
It depends on who you are and what you're doing. So let me give you examples. If you're young, high flyer, probably you have 1 or 2 years in public accounting, considering an MBA, I'll say, you know what, come to Canada, do your MBA, do a CFA, and jump into investment banking, corporate banking, and that CFO life and be done with it. That's because you still have miles ahead of you and you've covered some ground on your own. If you're like me, you got some miles behind you already. You have an accounting designation already. Bring your experience and your accounting designation to Canada. And then you may be able to swap that with either with some exams and then get back into corporate accounting. And that's it. If you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you may be able to come in and find people who are already running a firm or who want to run a firm and are able to get a license, and then you can go on board and partner with them. So, and of course, if you are somebody who wants to, kind of take things easy, then the internal audits route is still there, where you are doing compliance work. So you're not necessarily having to deal with the, the long nights that come with financial reporting and auditing, or the high risk that comes with investment banking. You're just saying, are people doing what they should be doing? Compliance.
Absolutely.
And okay, your life is slightly less stressful. Yes, you will still need an accounting designation somewhere in the mix. So the pressure of getting a designation will be there at some point. But generally speaking, you are less under pressure than the corporate accountant, the auditor, or the financial analyst. So those are all options that exist.
Well, thank you so much, Dotun, for that. And I hope everybody's been taking notes, but don't despair. If you missed anything, this web conference will be posted on our website for you, for all of you to rewatch. And if you have any questions, any additional questions for any of our experts today, you can email us at info@canadianimmigrant.ca. I want to thank Dotun Ayodele-Bamisaiye for that wonderful presentation. I would also like to thank Quoc and Cano for their wonderful and informative presentation. Thank you everyone today for attending our web conference. This was in partnership with ACCESS Employment, and special thanks to our sponsors, Western Union and RBC. Thank you once again to Quoc, Sol, and Dotun for joining us today, sharing their skills and expertise with everyone. Thank you so much, and until the next event, everybody stay motivated and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye for now.